Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-host, Mattson Heiner.
Better read than dead.
We appreciate you tuning in. Go ahead and hit that like, subscribe, follow, bell notification, all those fun buttons. Go ahead and click them, push them, do what you got to do with them so you can keep up with what we do. And we appreciate it because it helps grow the podcast. So as always, we love that. Me and Mattson, we're doing Paws of Fury today. It was released July 15th, 2022. It was written by Ed Stone, Nate Hopper, and Mel Brooks because he's credited because of the movie that it's based on. And then it was directed by Chris Bailey, Mark Coetzee, and Rob Minkoff, again, because of the previous. And then it stars Michael Cera, Samuel L. Jackson, Ricky Gervais, Kylie Cuoco, Mel Brooks, George Takei, Gabriel Iglesias, Asif Manvi, Jaimon Honsu, Michelle Yao.
Which character was Mel Brooks?
He was the Shogun.
Oh, okay.
He was Shogun.
Shogun.
Yep. Because so we'll talk about it. First. This is a kind of a fan request. So Dave Gold Snuff, as I call him, I have a hard time calling him Dave or David, but he requested Blazing Saddles, and as a compromise, we're doing Paws of Fury because it's based on Blazing Saddles. I mean, almost like I said, they had to give writing credits because of how many jokes are copied over from Blazing Saddles. So in fact, the original title was going to be Blazing Samurai.
We're entertaining. We're going to do a Patreon, and that is a place to put something like that because we're not trying to get canceled. But if you all want to see something like that, because it sounds like it's really funny, and I couldn't help thinking this whole time watching this, I'm like, I just need to watch Blazing Saddle because it's got to be better than this movie because they base this Paws of Fury kind of off that movie, and I probably would just like that better.
Yeah, it's depending on your outlook of it, it can be very offensive. It's funny, but there's a lot of a certain racial epitaph. How about that?
Sure,
that's used. I mean, to an extreme amount because of it's satire, and it's.
But JJ, I think our audience wants to know, and they already know the answer to this question. But dogs or cats?
Oh, dogs for me for sure. Multiple reasons. One, I'm allergic. Two, Casey's even more allergic. Like she swells
allergic
up like
being
a
not
balloon.
to dogs, but to cats.
To cats, yeah. Like her allergies to cats is insane. I was allergic to dogs when I was a kid, but I've had a dog my whole life, so I just got used to it. But cats does me dirty. That, and they're grumpy and their nails, and I feel bad declawing them, but I can't have them. It annoys me to claw them. In fact, Snuff, the one who requested this, has 2 cats, and when we game, it's the funniest thing to listen to him. And we mess with him, like I'll meow into the microphone when we're playing because he can't help but like. He tries real hard, but if he meows or if he says like food, they lose it and they crawl up on top of him and scratch him all to hell. And it's funny to look because he's like, get off me, cats. God damn it. It's hilarious to listen to him. But yeah, he likes cats, but I'm a dog guy.
JJ loves dogs. If our listeners don't know, he has 3 dogs.
I do have 3 dogs.
3 beautiful dogs. 3 beautiful dogs that definitely... You know JJ has a dog, though, if you're friends with him in real life, because his dog hair, their hair travels.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that.
My fur game is on point.
Whenever I left JJ's house when I used to live in Utah, even when I visited him a couple weeks ago, I knew I was leaving his house because like I got husky hair on me.
Yep.
Thankfully,
and it doesn't matter how much I vacuum my house, it is still all over the place.
Worth the sacrifice.
Oh, it is. They're fun. They're fun.
Well, jumping into this movie, one thing that stood out to me, JJ, why do you think they decided to do 2 different animation styles when they were kind of doing flashback scenes? I was curious about that. I've never seen, honestly, have I seen an animated movie really do that left the animation style that they were in? I was just curious about your opinion there because I don't remember a movie doing that before.
Yeah, I think it just was to lean into the projector joke. because that's one of the things that
Mm-hmm.
like when they do replays, like they run it like a projector.
Yeah.
And so it was, yeah, I think that was just to make sure to have that difference, at least in this movie, to continue with that joke and have that difference so that it looked like had like a projector style feel
Hmm.
to it or a less clean feel to it.
Did you like how this movie made fun of itself for being a movie? Because I definitely didn't. I thought that was stupid.
Yeah, I mean, there were some on the nose parts of that, but they like, and we've talked about this before. Like, I'm not a huge fourth wall fan, and technically, if you're talking about the fact that you're in a movie, you're breaking the fourth wall to a degree.
Well, they more
Sure.
than broke. They showed the movie
Well,
screen.
so that part though is directly from. So that's just to let you know that's almost a direct scene from Blazing Saddles.
Oh,
So there's this fight that like goes through this town, and then it bleeds into the movie theater, and then it rolls in, and the crowd loses it, and then it goes off into a different place. So I mean, when they say that this cartoon is like, I mean, it's almost shot for shot, like joke for joke. Like there's some modernization of it because Blazing Saddles was like 1974. So there's some modernization of it, and there's obviously not the same overtones that are there, but the jokes are all there, and a lot of the same scenes are almost exactly
so
pulled
in
from the
Blazing
movie.
Saddles, it's some overlord trying to get rid of a town like this.
Um, yes, it's in the old west, and there's a railroad. They're building a railroad, and it
Uh,
needs to run through the town, and so they're trying to get everybody to leave the town, um, or to empty the town, and so that's what, yeah, that's how they. And then it turns in, instead of just all the townsfolk, it's like all the railroad workers, like the so it's all the different races in the movie. So in this one, it's just the townsfolk, and then they come out and trick them. But in the movie, it's all the different races that are building the railroad that
hmm.
come together. Because instead of a samurai, it's a sheriff. He gets they it's a it's a white town, and they put a black sheriff in, and yeah,
Interesting. Okay. Did you
hijinks ensue.
did you find it odd? I thought it was interesting that samurai were like the good people, and then ninjas happened to be the thieves. I was like, well, why did ninjas have to be the thieves? Like that's a low blow to ninjas out there. Like they're not bad people, but yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that was interesting.
yeah. Well, and yeah, so I thought I liked the interchangeability, like where it was just these random things. Like you had like, especially when they were putting together the evil army, and it was like they had Vikings, and they had like play-by-play announcers or whatever it was, and
Movie
then
executives.
that's what it was, movie executives. And so it was like all so that part, like how they translated that was really funny. And the boat, the different boats kept coming through and
Yeah,
crushing the other boats. And then the
the
sub.
Nazi one.
Yeah.
That yeah, that was like, you just knew without even knowing, but you read black, gray submarine. You're like, yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, with the weird cat, like streamlined cat face
Yeah.
on this sign. Yeah, I thought that was pretty clever. Um, but I thought what they really did well is the the interactions between Jimbo and um I don't know why I can never remember his
I
name.
remember the dog,
Hank.
but yeah,
Yeah,
Hank, yeah.
Hank the dog, and then Emiko, I think the little girl. Um, I just thought that was really funny, like, and how they interacted, and it was just silly and fun. But at the same time, like, I love that they took, because one of the big things with Blazing Saddles is everybody gets offended by it because the use of the N word, and it's pervasive in the. I mean, it's a lot in that movie, and everybody thinks it's a very racist movie, and in truth, it's a satire, and it's actually making fun of racism and saying, why is this a thing, right? But in this movie, like I like that they translated the themes of that, but it's much more obvious, right? Instead of it being like, oh no, they said that word, which is very awkward to hear as much as it's said. And then to take this and to make it somewhat kid friendly and have that message be there that, it doesn't matter. We're all just here to be good to each other. And, the end, it's like, he's not a dog, he's my friend. And I just thought, at the end, I was sitting there going, "Oh, kind of feels good. Like I'm got me in the feels a little. Not like I was like tearing up or anything, but I was like, oh, this is nice. This is fun. And I was giggling. So I thought that they did that translation in the relationships pretty well, especially with those main three characters.
I mean, yeah, like it definitely had a message to it for sure. Like if you're trying to have a movie that's watched that teaches you something, I mean, it clearly they were trying to show that hey, a samurai, even at the end with how dumb Mel Brooks' character, the Shogun, like just played. He was like, "Oh, we're gonna assign the other, the fat Gumbo, like what a dumb
Jimbo.
name. He's gonna be our samurai again." And he's like, "Oh, the dog can't be a samurai." Then he gets on his horse, lifted on by two cats, like an elevator, basically. Gets on, and then like, no, like it needs to be Hank, and then he changes his mind so soon. You're like, this has got to be the nicest Shogun ever. Like, how did he even make it to that point? But I mean, they were definitely trying to show that you can be whatever you are. You don't have to put a label on that. And I'll give this movie that. Like, it definitely, you don't have to be. You could be a little dumb in the head and walk away knowing, like, hey, there doesn't need to be a division between a cat and a dog. While they look different and maybe act different in circumstances, they can still be the same thing, like a samurai, or you could be a cook or whatever it is. And I'll give the movie that. But other than that, though, this movie was not funny to me. This movie was just predictable, and I watched many, many other animated movies over this movie, without a doubt. Did it probably help JJ that he had seen Blazing Saddles and had some comparisons? I do think so, because if not, this is a low-rung animated movie for me.
Yeah, it certainly helped. Like I think if I hadn't known what I was watching, it wouldn't have been as funny. Though
Because
there
like
were some.
the scene where they pop out of the movie theater, to you that's probably a little funny because like, oh wow, like I remember that scene. For me, I mean, I was like, okay, like that was weird that they just decided to do that.
Yeah, yeah. In Blazing Saddles, it's actually not. I was wrong. I forgot. It's not a movie theater they go into. It's another set that they're actually filming. But the movie Blazing Saddles, that's how it got. So it's the cuts into the actual movie set to show that they're on a movie. So that was the difference. But yeah, I mean, it certainly helped. Like there were some moments though that just had me giggling over stupid things, and I almost feel like ashamed that I laughed at like the weird telephone cats. Like that shit made me laugh. Like
That made me smile. I was like, what
yeah.
was that about?
Well, and so in my head, like you're doing the telephone game, that game you play in elementary school, and you get to that point where you're like waiting for it to be screwed up in the end, but they're just talking perfectly next to each other, and then here, hold the phone. He hands it across the screen. Like, yeah, I just thought that was really silly and kind of funny to me. And then I thoroughly enjoyed Sumo.
I like Sumo.
Sumo was really funny. And then, yeah, because he's based on I'm not going to say the character's name, but there's a character in Blazing Saddles that is similar, big, dumb, and kind of kind-hearted. Once he's just like, "Oh, you're my friend." So it's but I think there were little moments that I giggled at. Like there was something else too, that there was like a sign somewhere that I laughed pretty good at. But I don't remember what it was. But then I did laugh at like during the montage where he's getting slammed into a rock over and over. Like every time he got hit, like he ended up smushed against a wall or a rock. Like that running joke made me laugh. And Ricky Gervais as the bad guy. I love Ricky Gervais.
I hated the cat, but Ricky Gervais is fine. Like, but the cat, I don't know, just again, just so over the top. But that's what you expect in these movies. I don't know. I just watching it kind of by myself. Just something I was trying to get through the podcast. I was like, ah, man, like not really feeling it. But then this movie has such a good agenda on what they're trying to help society be and not judge each other. And I get that, but I was bored. And just knowing that with an 85-minute runtime, how many times do they have to tell me how long this, like, I mean, not long, short this movie is? Like, who does that? Like, why? Like, I didn't know that could be a joke that was acceptable.
Yeah. It's just the joke inside the joke. Inside the joke. I didn't get like the Super Bowl thing was a little weird. Like I didn't get the toilet.
Yeah, what was the giant? What does that have to do with cats per se? I was like, I didn't fully grasp that.
I don't know. I mean, other than the weird, like there's like the TikToks or like the YouTube videos of cats using a toilet because they can be trained to use the toilet, but I didn't understand the joke in there. But it did cause me some humor. Like when he says it's flooding, then the cats go running out like carrying the giant plunger. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it made like I started giggling not at the toilet joke, but at the dude running out.
Oh yeah, it was like a giant when you're just like, okay. And I guess jiggle the handle helps in the past with some toilets, maybe.
Oh, did you not ever have that issue when you were?
No.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so toilets, especially older versions, like not these new fancy toilets that one of my favorite things, and this is neither here nor there, but you go to like Home Depot or whatever and you're looking at toilets and on the box it'll be like, you can flush 9 billiard balls and it won't get clogged. And I'm like, why the hell is that a selling point? Like I don't understand.
That was a selling point for it. That's
Yeah. It's one of I don't know, I don't remember the brand, but there's a toilet like if you go to Home Depot and Lowe's and stuff, there's a toilet that literally shows a picture of 9 billiard balls and it's like can flush up to flush 9 billiard balls and it won't get clogged. And I'm like, if that's how much you need to flush, you got bigger problems than needing a new toilet. It's just Jesus. Like what the hell? Yeah, so but yeah, old toilets for you young guys, like the way that the whole spinny ones, like their little plunger thing that comes up out of it used to like the rubber would wear out, so it wouldn't like it would get kinked as it would come down, and so there would be just a little crack so the water could still leak into the pipe. So you had to jiggle the handle so that it would level out the plunger that clogs up so that the back fills up with water. Otherwise, the water just run and run and run because it never filled enough to lift your floater up. Now you know the jiggle the handle joke.
Do toilets flush the other way, unlike the other side of the earth, or is that a myth?
No, the water does turn the other way in Australia, for sure.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Why?
I have no idea. I'm no scientist, but it
That
does.
doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
Is it just because the water jets point the other way? Now we need to know this. It's called the Coriolis effect. Is significant in hurricanes. It's not strong enough to make toilets flush in different directions at different points on the earth. The real cause of backwards flushing toilets is just that the water jets point in the opposite direction.
Oh. Hey, that's something that I believe my whole life. So thanks for fixing my ignorance there.
Yeah, I'm looking up what the Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect, an effect whereby a mass moving in a rotating system experiences a force, the Coriolis force, acting perpendicular to the direction of motion to the axis of rotation. So on the Earth, the effect tends to deflect moving objects to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere, and is an important formation of cyclonic weather systems. Heard it here first. What's our verdict? Sorry to burst your bubble there, JJ.
I know. No, it's good. At least I'm not living in ignorance anymore because we don't need that.
Yeah, we're not living in confusion. If our listeners take nothing else away from today's terrible movie, now you know that.
Shoot. There was see, and I did love one thing else I did love is because Samuel L. Jackson was Jimbo.
He was good.
All of the almost fuck, like where he kept saying words that were almost the F word. Like,
oh yeah, mother father.
What the mother father cocker spaniel's going on?
Yeah, that was funny.
Well, and then the name of the town, like Cacamucho. Come on, that shit's great. And they said the name of the town as much as they possibly could.
Yeah, that stuff. I'll give it that. Like I didn't laugh at it. I was like, yeah, because you already know Samuel Jackson's known for his choice cuss words and mother effers. Snakes on a plane to name an instance, and man.
Yeah. Some fun interactions between those two. Well, and then like Ikachu, like there was one point where because they towed the line so much, Ikachu at some point was like, he didn't say God damn it, he said dog gammit. And I just felt like that one really, all this movie, one of the things that hit me the most, and I was giggling at things that weren't funny because I love adult humor in cartoons. Like that shit makes me laugh. So that kind of thing where they're just towing the line, because this movie wasn't necessarily made for kids at all, but it was, yeah, it was just funny.
Yeah, yeah, you got to get a cloak it as a kids movie, get adults to come. But I don't think that really works in this circumstance. There's a lot of other animated movies that I think would have been more fun to experience with the kid as an adult.
Sure. Yeah, I can't wait till we get our Patreon up and running, and Snuff will probably request the
Why
actual
this
Blade
movie sounds
battles.
interesting to me now. I mean, I've heard enough about it that I'm like, I should just
It'll probably
watch.
be a letdown, but
Probably to an extent where high expectations can be found with movies, usually low reviews tend to follow.
that's fair.
It's
That's
the
fair.
rare occurrence that both meet at the same point where you usually find the best movies we have ever watched.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Well, it'll be a short one, but that's what happens when there's only two of us and we're reviewing a cartoon. So you ready to rate this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else where there is to necessarily talk about. So
Yeah, no.
I'm okay with pushing this one through.
All
There's
right.
so many other things our listeners can listen to us on as we're pretty active. So
It's true.
I'm sure they will be happy with a shorter review.
That's true.
Or for an 85-minute movie, not counting credits.
Yeah. Well, and I know Robbie will be happy with probably a 26-minute edit job. So cool. Well, I'll go first. Get the higher score out of the way. How about that?
Oh, yeah.
So look, it's animated. We all know how we feel about animated movies. Snuff requested it, so we did a version of it. So, but I got a kick out of it. There's a level of nostalgia. No matter how much I can try to defend Blazing Saddles, there's a level of discomfort that you go through watching that movie, just because of how racism forward it is. And it's designed to do that, but it'll make you uncomfortable. It's funny, and it's designed to be a satire, but this movie, what I loved about it is it doesn't make me uncomfortable, and it still gets the message across, and probably more effective in some ways and less effective in others, based on the fact that there's less shock value. But at the same time, I found myself at moments going, "Oh, that's a great message, especially for kids," right? So probably more needed for adults, but it's a good message either way. And I had some fun. I giggled. There were moments I was laughing pretty hard, and then there were some giggles, and then there were some smiles, and then there were some cringes. So I think I had all of the aspects of a good comedy covered. Overall, I think it was a decent movie. I'm going to give it a 3 and call it good there. I don't think it was anything to write home about. If I'm going to watch for that kind of satire, I'm probably going to go watch the original and then be done with it. But I did laugh. I think it was cute. 3. All right, Mattson, what about you?
Like, as far as animated movie goes, it's fine. I mean, visually appealing animated movie. I mean, the voice acting is fine. For me, like, Michael Cera's character is kind of detracting to me. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, I just don't like his voice. It's just so, like, soft-putting, and, like, this dog was so wimpy because of his voice and everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of annoyed me a little bit. But overall, voice acting was great. I mean, Samuel Jackson's character was awesome. He's great. Like, I can't think of the last time I've seen him in an animated movie, but I'm like, all right, I could get around. They could do it again. He did. I was thoroughly entertained there. Visually appealing enough. They took some exposition that I didn't like with breaking the fourth wall. It's weird. We are currently reviewing a show in She-Hulk that does that quite often, but this movie did that in more ways in your face, and I was like, yeah, this is stupid. Like, this is supposed to be funny to me, so I didn't really like that. And I thought the story, like an anime movie, was pretty predictable, but definitely got the point across. Like, we were looking to learn something from this. You actually want your kids to be like, oh, what did you learn from that movie? I mean, it's pretty easy for them to answer what they got from that. Good, clean movie overall. Like, if you're watching it with your nieces, nephews, or your family, like, I think you'll enjoy it to an extent and have a couple laughs. But again, there's so many other animated movies I turned to before this one. So for that matter, I'm just going to give this movie a 2. Nothing special. neither hot nor extremely cold. I think if you put it on with the kids for a Friday night, like it'll be a good time, but it's nothing like a Toy Story.
Fair enough. Well, there it is. That is Paws of Fury, the legend of Hank, and in all of its blazing samurai glory. Yeah, there it is. It was fun. Mattson, tell them where else they can find this.
Yeah, if you want to check us out at what'sourverdict.com to see what's upcoming, and message us at hosts at what's our verdict via email, or if you just slide into our DMs or interact with us on TikTok. Alex putting up a bunch of fun content, basically just roasting his co-host. You'll know he's not here today because we fired him for his most offensive video. That's also not true, but we miss him today. And then we're on wherever you can listen to good podcasts, as you all know, at What's Our Verdict Reviews. Doing a ton of TV right now with The Rings of Power, with the House of the Dragon, She-Hulk. We're about to kick off Andor here in about 2 weeks, and then we're sprinkling in some cool shit, dumb shit, and crazy shit, which is upcoming next with Alec, where we dive into another conspiracy theory that he has. So lots of ways to interact with us, but we love when you all suggest things for us to watch. Sometimes it doesn't always pan out. I mean, Charles out there just knows it, that I know whatever next we watch for him, I'm just gonna hate him again, but it makes for a good time. So we appreciate y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there it is. We appreciate you tuning in, as always, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.
Cinemagic Cow.
Whoa!